here, and today I'm going to go over a couple of ETFs that people get confused quite often. As a matter of fact, I get this a lot. There's an overlap in what these particular ETFs do, and the composition and structure are completely different. So the two I'm going to go over today, you can see it on my screen. The first one is the materials sector, XLB. That's symbol X-ray Lima Bravo for you military folks out there. XLB is basically one of the spider sector ETFs that is really representative of what's inside of the S&P. Now, I did two things here. I have two panels on this chart. You can see the top panel is just the ETF itself. It's not been performing well at all. Now, the bottom panel is the XLB versus the S&P. When I say versus, relative to the S&P 500 SPY ETF. Now, the way you read this is the first symbol in the ratio, XLB, is what you're seeing the direction of typically versus the other one. Now, that doesn't mean it's down necessarily. That means the S&P is just outperforming the XLB. You could see this. Obviously, we know what the S&P has been doing now here for the last X amount of months. The XLB has been up, but really sideways and stagnant in the last year or so. So you can see why, A, it's underperforming, and B, where this particular thing has been over the last several years. Now, let's just understand what this is. XLB holds 29 large cap material companies. They're weighted by market cap. You're talking companies like Linde, Linde. That's about 16% of this ETF. The next one's Newmont Mining, 7.6. Sherwin-Williams is about 6.5% or so. Ecolab is about 5.5%. Now, those names I just listed are about 35% of the entire portfolio. So, quick question. They're probably not doing as good as the S&P, just to basically understand how you can read this chart rather quickly. Now, the XME, on the other hand, is an equal weighted particular ETF, and it has 34 small to mid-cap companies that are focused specifically and exclusively on metals extraction and mining operations. The top holdings are companies like Centrus Energy, uranium, Core Natural Resources, coal, Core Mining, precious metals, Peabody, another coal company, Cleveland Cliffs, steel, Nucor, NUE, one of the largest steel manufacturers here in the United States, has been doing great. But you can see XLB has been underperforming. So you hear materials, you might think steel, copper, aluminum, things of that nature. You're getting some of that, about 25% exposure in the XLB. The ETF that you really want to be in and should have been in really for most of this year is XME, and I'll look at that. That's X-ray Motel Echo. And XME, you can see right away the chart has been up and to the right, and I'll tell you when it started. It started basically sometime in July. Why? Well, because the Trump administration has passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is basically given massive tax incentives over to anyone that's willing to purchase new equipment. Any kind of facility, whatever you want to call it, you get 100% bonus depreciation. I'm not a tax advisor. That's just the tax news. And if you haven't been paying attention to this, you've missed out completely on some of the biggest opportunities here we've had in the beginning of this phase. I say we're in the first, maybe second inning of this. But you can see what happened. This fund was also underperforming between 23, 24, and even partially part of 2025. But it started to really move higher. And now when I say move higher, not only by itself, but even versus the S&P, it's been crushing the S&P's return here because of the hyperscaler activity going into this. One name in here, Nucor, has a backlog of steel girders specifically for data centers. So, folks, you don't see this that often here in the markets, but don't get these two confused. Materials and metals and minings are not the same ETFs. This one's obviously the better one. The XLB has been a laggard and a dog, and this one has been hot, alpha hot right here on XME. So make sure you understand the difference, then make sure you understand how to read the ratio charts to see which one's outperforming the S&P 500. Take care. Until next time, I'm Pete Carmasino.